Today on Yeti at Large, one of our favorite discoveries in our 59 Shasta trailer, a knife sharpener.
Hi, and welcome to Yeti at Large. This is a channel focused on making the most out of what you have, no matter where you're at. Thanks for tuning in and helping out.
So one of the things that personally makes me happy in life is genuine curiosity. I enjoy being curious about stuff. Might make some people crazy, but for me it's fun. And this was fun. This is the Butterfly Knife and Scissor Sharpener. We found it in a drawer in our 59 Shasta, and judging by the style of this construction, it's a very NASA, Apollo, moonshot, anodized pressed aluminum kind of construction. Made in the United States of America, and it's super cool. I'm a professional chef by trade for over 25 years, and knives and knife sharpeners are near and dear to me, so I was very curious about this. And I started by looking this up with U.S. patent number 2994234, 29er-4234. And it was fascinating. The first thing you discover when you look up a U.S. patent number is typically you can find the application. And I did find the original application for this. And it was awarded August 1st of 1961, filed July 8th, 1958. And I noticed right off the bat that the filer was an E Leezag. E Leezag. Interesting, right? So then when I turned to the last page of the very simple application at the time, I noticed that it's Annie E Leezag. Now right off the bat, and I'm not making a judgment call on this, I will tell you it's very rare to have a woman apply for and be awarded a U.S. patent. The statistical analysis on this was incredible. What an uphill climb it was for a woman to be awarded a patent. This chart here will show you that even in 1980, the percentage of new inventor patentees was a very high percentage, but the percentage of women was very low, single digits. In the 60s, it was far more difficult for a woman to earn a U.S. patent. If you look again at the patent very closely, you'll see that Clarence A. O'Brien and Harvey B. Jacobson were the attorneys on this. What I love about it, they're very famous patent attorneys in D.C. Clarence A. O'Brien had an office just down the street from the patent office, and he was the go-to guy. Harvey B. Jacobson was a very young Ivy League graduate at the time, and this was one of his first jobs. This patent may be one of his very first actual legal endeavors as a bar certified attorney doing patent law. So to start out for fun, I wanted to learn more about Annie, and I wanted to learn more about this butterfly patent. I looked up the name and found next to nothing. I did look up the address on the patent and saw that it comes to a home in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. It's now a vacant lot owned by somebody totally different. I searched the Leezag name, thinking that it was potentially Polish in origin, Serbian, Croat, Yugoslav, and found a few potential matches, but not a whole lot. And that was frustrating. So I did what any investigative journalist would do. I called the local library in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, and I spoke to the local librarian, who was zero help, zero interest in learning more about a local resident who earned a patent in the 60s. Sad. So then I called the museum, McKeesport Regional History and Heritage Center, and ran into almost the exact same situation there. They had no knowledge of this person and very little interest in actually learning about a notable resident that they're responsible for curating this individual's history. However, for $40 an hour, they'll do research, and for $5, they'll find you an obituary. So I gave him $5 and I found the basic obituary. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Then I called the school district because I thought to myself, there are some angles here and I'm going to look at the 3 most likely. School district again, zero help, no interest in following up on that. Part of that probably is just being a product of 2023, and another part of that is apathy, slothfulness, laziness, and the fact that we are not genuinely curious people anymore. I went and I figured I would look at the attorneys. I started with Clarence A. O'Brien, called the office and reached a dead end almost right away. So then I sent an email, and I also looked into the Harvey B. Jacobson Jr., and again, everything I found was very old. What was, and I won't say funny like haha, but funny like is I sent an email to the office, and this is the reply that I received. This is in reply to your below email. Clarence A. O'Brien and Harvey B. Jacobson both passed away many years ago. We have no records regarding Miss Leezag. Cordially. Go away. Are attorneys thinking I'm digging something up for a potential lawsuit or litigation? Probably. Would I think almost the same way? Maybe, likely. Anyway, another dead end. Statute of limitations, all that kind of stuff, it really does kind of run out quick. So, the lawyers were a dead end, the library was a dead end, the school district was a dead end, but the museum came through a few days later with a obituary. Turns out when she passed away, she was 75, and she was born in 1915, died in 1990. That's going to be instrumental to my theories in a moment. Miss Leezag, had been a member of the Croatian Club of Versailles. That was a lead, a solid lead. So, the Croatian Club of Versailles, and full disclosure, when I was in college, my roommate was a Serbian, wonderful man. I hope you're doing well, Charcoal, that's his nickname. And his father, Dragoon, good man as well. He's probably passed on like my father at this point, rest in peace. Great people. And so knowing how tight-knit communities the Serbs, the Slavs, the Croats can be, I called the Croatian Club of Versailles. Versailles is a town in Pennsylvania. I made 4 phone calls. I was hung up on 4 times. Told to F off once by what sounded like the nicest little old lady in the world. Now, do these people think I'm probably running a scam? Likely. I called the headquarters of the Croatian Club and found out that the Croatian Fraternal Society is an amazing organization. Offers scholarships, insurance discounts, and they run clubs in communities all over the United States. Class act, first-rate group. Again, I got zero information on them. They don't keep or maintain files of any interest, and again, they probably thought I was running a scam. I've reached a complete dead end now. I've got no more information on Annie, on who she was and what she did, but I have some theories, and if you'll bear with me, I'd like to give you theory number 1. Born in 1915 in Pennsylvania, she could have been Rosie the Riveter. Annie could have worked in the factories. She could have been a heck of a seamstress in one of those factories. Maybe she sewed parachutes. Maybe she sewed car seats. Rosie the Riveter, that's what Annie was. And based on that, she would know scissors and knives very well. Theory number 2, she was a home economics teacher. And that could dovetail with theory number 1. After the war's over, she's got to go find a job because the government couldn't wait to shove women out of those factory jobs that they had really become very talented at and accustomed to. So she might have gone to the school district and taught home economics and fibercraft, if you will. That wasn't a term back then, but it is today. So theory number 2, home economics teacher. She would have also known scissors and knives very well if that was the other theory. Theory number 3, a seamstress and a knitter. Maybe she was a member of some of the local yarn mafias, tongue-in-cheek as they've been called today. Either way, I think it's very clever how she saw a need for something in the late 50s. She probably stewed over it for several years before she finally heard enough people say, you ought to patent that and sell those. So the statute of limitations. Patent protections only last for a while, And I just love this pressed aluminum anodized notch on here, you know, the way it's built. It's clearly this was sold in the 60s, maybe early 70s, who knows. And it was in this 59 Shasta camper, which I think is only slightly coincidental that this camper was built at the same time she was working on the patent application for this. So this butterfly knife sharpener is now a permanent part of this camper, and it will go on every camping trip with us. I wondered if they sell anything like this today. Knife sharpeners are like cookbooks. They're kind of a fad and they're trendy, and I couldn't find anything close to it. But when I did a search for a butterfly knife sharpener, the Sterling sharpener there in the bottom right corner, if you'll notice, before, after, before, after, works in almost an identical functional manner. So when I look up the Sterling knife sharpener, I see it's still made proudly in the United States of America. And they're being sold for about $12 a pop right now. So good on the Sterling family, Charles Forrest and your son Sterling. Good on you. I don't need to buy one of your knife sharpeners right now because I still have the butterfly. And let's see how she works. This is an old tackle box fishing knife from my grandfather from years ago. It's now part of the trailer. And as you can see, listen to that sound. It works great. And that's a decent edge maintained. Thank you so much for joining us today on Yeti at Large. Get curious about the little things in your life and the things you see every day and around you. There are more amazing stories about the tiny things that we take for granted every day, that if you dig into those a little bit, you might learn something about somebody else and you might learn something about yourself.